Alright, welcome to the section on eyes. Eye. First we're going to draw it, as we normally do. And instead of a big whiteboard, I got a piece of paper here. Let's take a look. So, an eyeball is that. It's an actual eyeball. So, usually when you draw an eye, many times people start with the little pupil, and then they talk about the eyelids and everything. But again, we're talking about the anatomy, so I just want you to figure that this is an eyeball, all right? And around it are all the muscles and whatnot, okay? So a few key landmarks that I like to go over is just that. The fact that there's a ball on there. Now the eyelid will be like flaps of clay over it, and a few like key landmarks that I want you to really know is that there are the muscles that hold the eyeball in place, and the actual eyelid. Okay, if we're going to talk about the top one, okay, it kind of has a pretty sharp ascent. This is the nose. This is the deepest part of the head, actually, and it kind of has this pretty quick ascent, and then it gently falls over down to the other corner of the eye. Notice this is a pretty wide open eye. Notice that the eyeball is sitting there. This is actually skin that's going over the eyeball itself. Now, mind you, this is where your eyebrow is, so I'm going to go ahead and put some hair there. Okay. Now, if the top eyelid has a pretty sharp ascent and then a gradual descent, this is almost the opposite. Okay. I'm going to create the little tear duct and whatnot. The bottom of the eye tends to be a lot more flat than the top. Okay. The eyelid tends to lay flat, and then at the end here, it kind of sneaks up. All right, kind of sneaks up. So sculpturally, you'll see how it kind of scoots in pretty fast. Now the reason for that is it kind of curves around the eyeball there, and it allows the upper lid to flap over the bottom lid. Okay, notice that it too covers some of the eyeball. Remember, it is encapsulating that ball. Here's where the cheekbone is, just to kind of give you some reference, and then the side of the nose, it goes into the cheekbones, and that's something we've already kind of discussed, okay? And so that by itself should get you started understanding kind of like what's going on with that eye area. Okay? I'm going to talk quickly about the pupil itself. When people draw it, you don't want to make it look like it's super staring at you. So the pupil is yet another circle, and the top lid always covers it slightly. Okay, and then the same thing with the pupil itself. Sorry, this is the iris. This is the pupil. I am leaving a little circle here. This is basically the catch light. And sculpturally, it is actually like a piece of clay that will literally catch the light, whereas in drawing, it is a highlight. Okay, so. Alright, so I brought back the eye wells here just to illustrate that, the skull has eyes. Score a little bit. So I'm doing a 1:1 scale, about. Not really sure. I started working on the lips a little bit more before the break, and kind of was doing a female one. Let's check this out. Eyeballs are surprisingly small. Which one do you think works better as an actual eyeball functions? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, check your proportions. Corner of the mouth is where the pupil is going to go. Boop. All right. Boop. Ooh, snake eyes. Creepy. I like using the rounded tools. Squeezing it in place. This clay is really forgiving, so it will probably stick. Okay. A few points I want to make right off the bat is, again, right here between the eyes. It's really the most shallow dug in place there is. So that has to be known. Okay, so it's kind of creepy, I know. I'm going to change the tools. It's one of the ones you have. Dun, 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 dun. Alright. So here are the eyelids, just like little slugs of clay. Alright, we're going to go in and around. I do use a little more clay than probably needed because I can always take it off, sculpt it out. And I'm just doing this to illustrate, well, just how little you need. So if your sculpture is half size, whoo boy, you don't need very much. You do want to try to make it even at this point, or equal clay. Okay, so you kind of see how that in itself kind of works, right? It looks more realistic than just bulging eyes and you know, having to be all flat. I'm really going with the contour. Let's see if I can change this. All right. And I will be working in conjunction with its surrounding areas. I will be adding to the forehead. Remember, I always say, don't fall in love. You never know where your sculpture is going to take you. I know I'm probably going to also bulk up the cheek here a bit. This is female sculpture. Okay, you don't want to pop out too much, otherwise it gets too skinny here, and I probably will be adding clay there too. So, all right, keep it fresh. Okay. So, I like to push the clay in place. Okay. This clay works really nice, so you don't have to like score it too much. It sticks to itself pretty nice. So the eyeballs are stuck in pretty good. I got these eyelids kind of going on, have a little extra clay there. I am going to use this nice curved tool. I also like, when we get a little bit further into it, this tool here has a nice tip, kind of a point on there. Okay, so here's where this is why I have extra clay. Push, 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 push. Get it deep in there. Push, 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 push. Same thing. Again, this is why I like that little tool. I think I had enough there. So I'm not concerned with the eye looking so much like an eye as far as getting masses of clay in there. Okay, really important that eyelid is following the curvature of the eyeball. That is so important. And then the forehead, or the brow, sorry, is kind of doing the opposite thing. Now you got to look around, you got to look at people, and then some people go pretty deep in there, some people not so much. My wife is Filipino. They tend to have shallower eyes versus somebody who is of European descent and to have a little bit more deep set eyes. So you do have to consider that, you know, your personality. Thing to note is that I'm looking all over it as well, right? I am trying to look at both sides. I'm trying to look at it from the side view. Let's see if you can see it from the side view. Okay. So you see how the contour is really being accentuated there. Same with the bottom eye. The cheekbone and the brow really hold it in place. Right? See that the edge of the eye, that's where the tip of that cheek goes, and then, you know, this is again a female, kind of high cheeks there. Can always adjust them later, but it just kind of reminds me that it's there. I think I don't have enough of a brow on that side. I just want to start thinking a bit about the corners of the eye. Okay? So if the top eyelid goes around the eyeball, it kind of flows off into that way, right? And here's where I'm going to start to kind of lift the eye a bit. Okay. Keep the roundness, keep the roundness. It's an eyeball. Okay, there's the tear duct there. It's a little flatter on the bottom. Right there at the lower eyelid, another bit of a landmark that I like to always point out is that there's always a little extra bump there. The muscle that goes into the cheekbone. There's always a little extra there. I'm probably overdoing it. I'm accentuating it. I'm doing that on purpose for illustrative purposes. You'll see how that plays out later. I'm going to give a quick roundabout on this so you can see it. See as I continue to work.